Rams house, it's officially draft week, and the news and rumors are coming in hot on today's episode of the Rams Report presented by PrizePicks. We are going to be diving into everything you need to know around this team that's come out over the last 24 hours. And my goodness, guys, it is a ton of information. An absolutely jam-packed, absolutely loaded show for you guys today on today's episode of the Rams Report. Let's get into what we've got on the map for you here. We've got to discuss off the top, if you haven't already heard the news, there is a brand new report that an extension might be on the way for Matthew Stafford. That's going to be off the top of today's show. We've got a brand new report on Jimmy G and what his plans might be for the 2026 season. New progress on A.J. Brown has come out today as well. And then two rumors reports to finish today's show from two different NFL insiders. And I will tell you guys, they're saying very different things. But let's get right into the news around Matthew Stafford. So Ian Rapoport tweeted this out today. The Rams and MVP Matthew Stafford, don't you just love the sound of that? MVP quarterback Matthew Stafford. Every time you say it brings a smile to my face. And you know what else brings a smile to my face? The rest of this sentence. Have made significant progress on a new extension that should put Stafford in the building for the 2026 offseason. The deal is not done for Stafford, whose contract runs through 2026, but McVay said earlier this season he believes Stafford could play beyond this season. So here's what we're watching for, guys. A big extension coming for Matthew Stafford or a restructure coming for Matthew Stafford. Something is coming for Matthew Stafford, I believe, in the next day, next couple hours, very soon, before the draft. Mark my words on this. I don't think the Rams will let this one sit until after the draft. But this is going to look like one of two things. It's going to either be the Rams renegotiating, basically tearing up Stafford's existing contract, getting rid of the void years most likely, giving him a new deal that pays him more money, and it's probably a one-year extension. And then they'll continue to go year to year with him from that point, but just raise his 2026 salary and reward him for an MVP year. Or the other alternative, and this is the one that would put me over the moon, guys. I think it would put every Rams fan over the moon. Stafford wants to go for more than just 2026. Stafford tells the Rams, my body's ready. I feel ready. Let's go 2027. Let's go 2028. Let's commit for more years. He signs a multi-year extension with the Rams. Those are the two alternatives. And you look at last year, this dude, does anyone feel like he couldn't come back and ball for another season? For 2 more seasons? For 3 more seasons? I wouldn't bet against him. I don't think anyone in their right mind should want to bet against Matthew Stafford, who is asserting himself as one of the best quarterbacks in NFL history over the last few seasons. I think he's really started to do that as an LA Ram. I think he knows he's building legacy in Los Angeles. If he's ready, if he feels he can, I would be thrilled about the Rams going for more years with Matthew Stafford and getting that extension done. And I think it could come soon, guys. Ian Rapoport followed up with another tweet. He said, Stafford is in the building. This was at 2:15. We're filming at 3:12. This deal could come at any time. Literally any minute now. Don't miss it. If this deal comes, we will be filming a video as soon as it happens. We will make the video. Make sure you are subscribed. Make sure you are locked in, because the moment Stafford gets extended, we will be making a brand new video here on the Rams Report. But before we get into the rest of today's show, I think we got to give a shout out to the sponsor of today's video, guys. And that is the good people over at PrizePicks. Today's show is sponsored by PrizePicks, America's #1 sports picks app. PrizePicks is the place to go if you love daily fantasy sports or you just want to make watching sports even more exciting. Player picks are on fire right now, with playoff basketball getting going and the baseball season starting too. There's no better place to cash in on all that action than PrizePicks. You just pick 2 to 6 players and select more or less on stat projections, including points, rebounds, assists, three-pointers, and several others across all sports. If you're more of a baseball guy, you can choose stats such as hits, home runs, and strikeouts. I actually love using PrizePicks for the most part, guys, because it has the best social features of any app I have ever used to put together lineups, guys. I'm on it. So is producer JD. You guys can follow my lineups at Jackson_Durham, and guys can tail me. You can fade me on whatever I put together, but you can always see what I'm putting together. I can always see what my friends are putting together. It's one of my favorite features about PrizePicks, and I think you guys will love that about it and so much more. And when you download the PrizePicks app today and use code HMA when you play your first $5 lineup, you'll receive $50 in lineups. That's code HMA when you play your first $5 lineup to get an extra $50 in lineups with PrizePicks. The clickable link to download the app is in the comments and the description. Shout out to PrizePicks for sponsoring today's video. Let's get back into our discussion of the Rams news you guys need to know. And this is kind of tangential to our quarterback conversation. As the Rams get things locked down with Matthew Stafford, or heading towards getting things locked down with Matthew Stafford, backup quarterback questions still remain with Jimmy Garoppolo. Obviously, he's considered the top backup option. Definitely the most likely candidate to come back and fill the role. But he also might be retiring. Maybe that's just as likely as him coming back. Ian Rapoport, who also gave us our Stafford news, said even earlier today, Jimmy G, who has started 64 games during a 12-year career, has made over 50 or 156 million in all. He is 34 and is mulling a final decision. And this would not be good for the Rams, guys. You still don't have a backup quarterback outside of Stetson Bennett on the roster. Jimmy G, not currently there. It's just Stetson and Matthew Stafford. And when I look at this room, I don't think it's good enough. Yes, there's absolutely a chance that Jimmy still comes back, that Jimmy ends up being your backup quarterback, that this is just a negotiation tactic, that he's just waiting to see whether or not Aaron Rodgers is going to come back for the Pittsburgh Steelers or he's going to retire. And we got some new information about that they're still waiting on information from him. So they don't even know, they being the Pittsburgh Steelers, whether or not Aaron Rodgers is going to come back. So it could absolutely be the case that Jimmy's just waiting to see, like, hey, are the Steelers going to be an opportunity for me to maybe get in the room and start? But can the Rams afford to wait around? Can the Rams afford to wait and see with Jimmy Garoppolo? Maybe, but there are other options here. If Jimmy decides to retire, if Jimmy ends up in Pittsburgh, or if the Rams just don't want to go down the Jimmy G road, Anthony Richardson requested a trade today. Is that a possibility? It's not one that I get really excited about, to be completely honest with you guys. I know a lot of you guys love the idea of Anthony Richardson, love the idea of Sean McVay working with him. He has not shown me a ton that gets me really, really excited about him coming into Los Angeles. I think Sean McVay could get the most out of pretty much anybody, but Anthony Richardson just has serious accuracy issues, especially when it comes to throwing over the middle of the field, which is such a requisite to succeed in Sean McVay's scheme. I worry about how that's going to go. But I do think you could do it for a minimal price tag. Just like we talked about with J.J. McCarthy, I don't think you have to give up much of anything at all to go get a guy like Anthony Richardson. I think a trade could look like this. You could go a 6th-round pick. We got 207. You could send that over, get Anthony Richardson in return, take out one of your 4 picks between 207 and 252. Anybody going to cry about that one? I don't think so. If that's what we ultimately do to address backup quarterback, I wouldn't hate it, but I also wouldn't feel great about the idea that if Matthew Stafford goes down, the next option to guide us in a year that is Super Bowl or bust is Anthony Richardson. Is that something you can feel super confident about? I don't know. But there may be more options. Anthony Richardson is not the end of things here. Todd McShay hinted at something today as we start to trickle into the rumors section of today's show. Todd McShay hinted that there may be an option the Rams are interested in the draft. He said, "I keep hearing that there's another team interested in Simpson, and I wouldn't be shocked if it's the Rams. I know they liked him during the college football season. If I'm the Cardinals and Simpson is our guy, I wouldn't feel comfortable trading behind the Rams at 13. So Todd McShay thinks that the Rams could potentially go Simpson at 13. He also added, as of this writing, I think the Rams are more likely to draft a wide receiver in the second than in the first. What's the difference between Makai Lemon and Dejon Stribling in that system? They could also get Germie Bernard or Chris Bell in the second. That frees up the Rams to use their 13th pick on their best player available. I find it very hard to believe that their best player available is going to be Ty Simpson at 13. I don't think Ty Simpson gets around to them at 61 either. So the idea of Ty Simpson to the Rams to me feels very, very unlikely. I think more likely among the rookie class than Ty Simpson to ultimately end up being a Ram is Garrett Nussmeier, who the Rams have openly shown interest in, attending a private workout of his in Baton Rouge. It would also make more sense given the draft range that the Rams are likely to be in, whether that they do that at 93 or end up trading down from 93 and doing it in the 4th round or even later on in the draft if Garrett Nussmeier slides a little bit. I don't think at the end of the day Ty Simpson will be an option for the Rams. I know McShay said this. I think it's worth acknowledging that McShay said this. I don't think it's unlikely that the Rams had interest in Ty Simpson at a point, but I don't think there's any chance that they actually draft him. Speaking of things that there's probably no chance the Rams find themselves involved in, A.J. Brown trade discussions are the next topic of today's show. According to Adam Schefter, A.J. Brown is likely to become a Patriot post-June 1st. The Eagles remain open to trading Brown, and conversations between the teams, the Eagles and the Patriots, are expected to resume shortly on or before June 1st, likely culminating in a deal, sources said. And again, no surprise. At the end of the day, this is what we've expected for a long time. There was a brief moment there, and you guys really did not enjoy this brief moment on this channel, where I got kind of excited about the idea of A.J. Brown becoming a Ram. I understand a lot of you were not Team A.J., and I get it. And when the cost to go get A.J. became clear, I also pretty much stopped being Team A.J. And I think, just like for me, that was what killed things for the Rams. And when I knew, and I think a lot of you knew this too, the moment I knew there is no chance that A.J. Brown is getting traded to the Rams was at the owners' meetings. Because you get Sean McVay and Les Snead sitting down with Kay Adams and all sorts of media and chummily discussing A.J. Brown trade talks, like just doing it, just on air, nationally, just openly discussing, hey, yeah, we talked about A.J. Brown. You know, Devontae Adams was involved in that discussion too. There is just no way that they would have done that if those discussions were ongoing. So I knew at that moment this was a past tense discussion. This was a discussion that was had and moved on from. The idea of A.J. Brown ended at that point. I know some Rams fans are going to be disappointed about that. I was a little disappointed about that at the time. I won't even lie to you guys. But it does seem like A.J. is going to become a Patriot. Let's switch gears into what Albert Breer had to say about the Rams draft plans as we get into the next NFL Insider and their insight into what the Rams might be planning, for lack of a better word. After trading for Trent McDuffie, the Rams are working with a lower number of picks than they normally do. So I'd expect General Manager Les Snead and COO Tony Pastores, who shout out to Breer for mentioning Tony Pastores, you rarely see that, to work the phones to move around some. But at 13, most across the league expect the Rams to take a receiver. Most of the scuttlebutt with other teams connects USC's Makai Lemon to the Rams, and I'd buy that in Lemon and Cooper, for that matter, being their type of receiver. But I'd also bet, based on what I know, that Sean McVay might see a little something in Tyson based on the Rams' affection for Teteroa McMillan last season. The Rams have at least sniffed around on a trade-up. I wouldn't count on it. But also, I listed cornerback as a need, even with McDuffie and Jalen Watson aboard, just because the Rams continued to do a lot of work on the position even after these acquisitions. So, here's what I think we could take away from what Albert Breer said. Obviously, the number one thing that stood out to me, the number one thing that's going to stand out to you guys probably too, is the part where he says the Rams sniffed around on a trade-up. This, to me, he connects it more to Jordan Tyson. That's not really where my mind goes. There's two names that makes sense for the Rams as far as trade up goes. And I feel like I've been very consistent about this. Carnell Tate and Jeremiah Love. Those are the two options that I think the Rams would actually trade up for. Carnell Tate, because he is almost a perfect stylistic match for what you currently have in Davante Adams, and you could very seamlessly transition. And Jeremiah Love, because he is just a generational prospect at the running back position who would transform this offense into an unstoppable force. Just unbelievable stuff. Do I think that they actually go get either of those guys? I don't know. But I think those are the two that they would trade up for. I think Tyson comes with too many injury concerns. It is just too similar to what you already have or what you are likely to retain with Puka Nacua still on the roster, whereas Tate fills a role that will soon be voided by the loss or retirement of Davante Adams. Takeaway number 2, though, and I think this is just as important. Albert Breer believes receiver is likely and says other teams do so as well at the 13th overall pick. Rewind in your brain with me for a second to what Todd McShay was just telling us. He was saying, I don't think receiver is likely. My friends, we have a source-off between Todd McShay and Albert Breer, and I am inclined to go with Albert Breer. A, because it helps me a little bit narratively in what I've been pushing as far as receivers go. We'll be honest about that. I want a receiver on this Rams team, as I've been saying the whole time. But B, it just makes sense. Receiver has been the focus for this Rams team as far as scouting goes. They've met with more receivers than they've met with any other position. They've also met with a significant number of corners, as he mentions. I don't think they're done doing work there either, but those guys have mostly been in the middle rounds. They've met with a significant number of offensive linemen, but nothing more than this receiver class have the Rams done work on. He also specifically mentions 2 guys. Makai Lemon, who, of course, we all know Makai. We've hit Makai Lemon more than any player in this entire draft class. I do still think he is the most likely match for the Rams at 13. But it feels like increasingly Omar Cooper is a common name as well, no? Daniel Jeremiah described him as the Ramsiest receiver in the entire draft. Here, once again, Albert Breer makes a point of mentioning that Omar Cooper could be a target for the Rams as well. It's worth noting, how many times have we continued to see the Indiana receiver connected to this team? Continues to happen. I do think at the end of the day, if the Rams are going to trade down, Cooper is the name to watch. I just can't see them doing it at 13, but if they trade down, it's immediate Cooper watch, DEFCON 1, or whatever the highest DEFCON is. I don't really know how that works, to be completely honest with you. Lastly, he mentions corner as a need, and I absolutely agree. I'm not going to lie. I 100% do. We took a gander at this depth chart a little bit earlier, but I want to look at it again because, look, guys, at the end of the day, your starters are solid. I like this group of the faces that we can see. I like everybody there as a starter, especially our new options from the Chiefs. I'm really excited to see what those guys can do. Trent McDuffie and Jalen Watson, I feel like they're going to hold it down. But look at the depth, or I guess rather lack thereof. Who do you trust in that room if an injury comes up? If we're to lose one of those guys, are you thrilled about the idea of Josh Wallace as a starter on this team? Are you thrilled about the idea of Cam Lampkin as a starter on this team? If you answered yes to either of those questions, you are lying or unfamiliar with those two players. At the end of the day, the Rams need to continue to flesh out the depth of this room, be that via free agency with unsigned veterans, or in my opinion, more favorably in the mid-rounds of this year's draft. I think the Rams are a trade-down candidate at some point to continue to amass a little bit of capital. I think they might trade up with some of their day 3 picks. We're going to continue to monitor all of these narratives. There's so much to talk about with the Rams draft and everything coming up. I know this was probably a longer episode, so thanks for sticking with us. But we're going to have a lot of content for you guys this week, so make sure you subscribe. Make sure you are locked in, and I will see you in the next one. Let's go, Rams.